and eating throughout. Unlike buffaloes that are not, I would say buffaloes that are ruminants, elephants will keep eating like 16, 17 hours in a day. Haley, you say Muri, buffaloes, and I agree with you. There's one Bungai there, she just moved his head, and I agree with you. And this morning we had a particular incident where we had a buffalo chasing another car of some other guests, and it was an exciting moment. Now, behind the buffaloes, Bungai, if you're going to pan the camera a little behind, you can see there are lots of birds, a lot of white birds there, and those are the birds we call cattle egrets. And cattle egrets in general move with the big herbivores, rhinos, buffaloes. Do you hear that? Elephants. And anytime they walk through the grass, they'll keep picking up any insect that will jump in the air. So saying one major difference between the feeding habits of these two species here, elephants need to eat a lot. And they tend to eat like 16, 17 hours in a day. So buffaloes being ruminants, what they do, they'll keep eating, then stop and pause and regurgitate what they had eaten earlier, and they start rechewing the cud. I'll stay here for a couple more minutes, see whether these elephants may choose to go through this herd of buffaloes and see how it will unfold. But in the meantime, we'll take you back to the avokas with Trishala in South Africa.
David is certainly right, and you can see that the pace is sort of slowed down compared to this morning, and that's because everybody... Oh, get in there. Everybody is pretty full already. Look at this. It's always really, really interesting to watch them feed like this because they do this often. They'll poke their heads in and get to all those places. Looks like the one lioness is half falling asleep on the end of that buffalo there. Paw in the air as well. Well, they all have really, really full bellies. There's a male just at the back there, and you can really get an idea of how big that belly is. Look at that. All full up, and you can see that he's panting heavily. Hello. All that digestion takes a lot of energy. A lot of energy and, of course, oxygen to be able to digest all that meat, that protein. And we know that these animals don't sweat, so there's no real way for them to increase their oxygen intake apart from panting. Cranky pangolin. You'd like to know how long they will feed on this buffalo before they will abandon it? Well, they'll feed as much as they can. They'll stuff themselves, and male lions can eat a ridiculous amount. It's close to 40 kgs, if not up to 47 kgs of meat in one sitting. The females slightly less, more in the 30s. But that is a lot of meat, and especially since there are a lot feeding on it. We've had 3 males, and now there's 4 females here. So they'll all need to get their bits, and they probably won't stop until they can't go on any longer. Now, it will last for quite a bit, a few days or so. And once they know that there's nothing else really to get out of it, and the scavengers come running, they will abandon it. But I'm going to stick around here a little longer so we can have a good look at the way this goes on. But I'm going to send you over to Jamie with our little princess, Tlalamba.
Well, fortunately, little Tlalamba doesn't have to share her kill with anybody. And she would struggle to do so because it is actually quite a small kill. She's managed to catch herself a scrub hare. But for a young female leopard like Tlalamba, who is trying to establish herself out here in the wilderness of the Greater Kruger, every little bit counts. She is just over a year and a half, so that means she has only just secured her independence, found her way away from the warm or not so warm embrace of her mother Tundi. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. And she has moved out on her own and is having to survive. And she's done an absolutely marvelous job of it so far. So as she munches her way through her scrub hair, my name is Jamie, and behind the camera is Craig. And you are watching CGTN's Wild Wonderland. And isn't this just the best way to spend an afternoon? We are all so invested in the future of this little leopard. We've watched her grow up from a tiny cub, just in the same way we have with Hosanna, who is around here somewhere, quite possibly. He is her older brother. And we're all deeply impressed by the way in which she has handled herself. She's a tiny little thing. This little leopard in front of you, look at those pretty eyes, probably only weighs around about 40 kilograms, so just over 80 pounds. She's a little thing, but she packs a serious punch. Right, well, speaking of growing up, James's lion cubs aren't quite there just yet, but they'll be fearsome predators one day.
They certainly will. They'll be packing a more fearsome punch than any leopard because they'll be so much bigger. That's the only reason. Otherwise, their design is almost identical. The little ones have got big, fat, round bellies. Look at that. They're so happy. They are so overjoyed. Now, there's something else quite interesting here other than the immense cuteness of the scene. There's the mother of the little ones. The mother of the bigger cubs. Remember, there are 3 bigger cubs of around about, say, 5 months or so. And only one of those cubs is here. And I don't know where the other 2 are. I'm presuming that they're still in their little culvert under the road. And maybe she'll go back and fetch them. But I don't know why they wouldn't have been left with the little cubs and the one older cub. So we did spend, like I say, 45 minutes looking with the mother for the little cubs, and they emerged with 1 bigger cub, but the other 2 cubs are not here. So we're missing 2 bigger cubs and 1 lioness, and I'm pretty sure the other lioness is up at the waterhole where we were yesterday and the day before and the day before that, but I think that the cubs must be there with her too. This kill remains almost untouched. And I remembered, I told you yesterday that this pride does tend to kill relatively frequently without actually eating, and I think all of the lions do that at this time of the year. All of you saying how cute this is, it is absolutely magical. To spend time with lion cubs that are active is one of nature's most, I suppose, gracious offerings. It's just too sweet for words. And made all the more so by the sounds they make, and all the more so by the juxtaposition of how terrifying they will become one day. And so I'm not going to go anywhere from here. The soundtrack of this time of the year, of course, is not, in fact, that of lion cubs. It is the endless bow, 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 bow.
Indeed, and a very warm welcome to all of you here in the Mara Triangle, where we sit across the field from James and his lions, and in between us and him is this enormous herd of wildebeest. And, well, welcome everybody. My name is Steve Falconbridge, joined on camera by Jean Gerding, and we are very privileged to be amongst the herds of wildebeest here in the migration. Now, this herd spans as far as the eye can see, and it must be a very tempting sort of lure for the lions. Although full-bellied, there are noises and smells all over the place that would attract the attention of the pride, the Saltic pride. Some zebra there in the mix, but as far as the eye can see, the herds continue. And they seem to, for the most part, be heading a little bit north of this group. But we've been with some herds today that crossed back into the Serengeti, back to give Tristan some wonderful shots over the next day or so. We don't really know what they're doing. They're just moving up and down. One of them goes this way and they all decide to follow. So we're going to stay with this herd, see if maybe we can pick a predator or two out of the mix. In the meantime, the beautiful princess down in Djuma with her meal.
So while Steve tries to pick a predator out of the mix, Tlalamba is trying to pick off the fur of her rather meager meal. So scrub hares are incredibly fluffy creatures, and they're actually quite lean and quite muscular, which means that she's not really getting much out of this meal except for a mouthful of fur. And she's been giving us a very entertaining display of just how leopards deal with that amount of fluff. She's actually acquired a scrub hare beard. Now, for those of you that perhaps have sensitive stomachs, some of this might be a little bit difficult to watch, but she can't go to the grocery store and buy herself some pre-packed meat, all nicely cleaned for her. She has to catch and feed herself, and that's exactly what she's done. So young leopards of this age will hunt absolutely anything, and although she's eating now, that doesn't mean that towards... Oh, Tlalamba, you're not very nice, girl. You've got a mouthful of fur. Yuck. No one likes a mouthful of fur. As I was saying, just the fact that she's eating now doesn't mean that she's not going to get up and go off in search of even more food. She's a terror of scrub hares, this little leopardess. So while she might be a terror of scrub hares, the Nkuhumas and Avokas have proved the terror of buffalo. Let's head back across to Trish and rejoin her.
Let's just listen for a moment. Can you hear now that Avoca male has his snout or muzzle right into that buffalo? And he had a little scuffle with one of the females, and that's all. This sound is unbelievable. Now, I was saying to you that males can be quite aggressive at a carcass, especially one like this, and even though they know they're sharing, they don't want the females to bother them whatsoever. So this female came along, and then she just got kind of swatted a little bit by the male, and he decided, I want to put my face into that carcass. Listen, you can hear it shearing. Now they have specially adapted teeth. Some of the premolars in the back of their mouth are adapted to act like shears, and they're called carnassials, and that whole mechanism is called the carnassial shear. Can you believe this is happening right now, absolutely live from the Greater Kruger area of South Africa? Absolutely amazing. Now, just like Tlalamba had a bit of a scrub hair beard, these lions... Oh, don't fight. These lions have a very buffalo bloody beard. You can also hear the hippos in the background. Now, they're not too happy because there's the third lion, the third Avoca male, is sitting up on the dam wall. We can't really see him from here, but he is there. And he's actually, I think, making the hippos a little bit uncomfortable. Now, this is an absolutely epic sighting. You can see the visuals are stunning. The sun is setting. The sounds are amazing. So I'd like to know what your one-word tweet would be. So use the hashtag CGTNWild or hashtag WildWonderland. And I would love to know. My one-word tweet for this? Messy. I think definitely. Now, we've had a lioness walk off and present us with a lovely package very close by. That package, of course, being none other than some lion defecation. And the smell is even worse than that of the carcass. So that's why mine would definitely be messy. They are messy animals. Oh, now look at the lioness on the left. Listen. She is using her her carnassials to be able to cut through that really tough skin, scrape meat off those bones. And of course, I think it's time for everybody to have a bit of a drink now. Oh my goodness. There are other vehicles in the sighting. Of course, everyone wants to come and have a look at this magnificent ordeal that's going on here. And that's what you're hearing. Now look at the tummies of these animals. They are so stuffed. Vicky, you say gluttony. I must agree with you there. They are definitely a gluttonous bunch. You can actually see the male's mouth pushing from the inside out by the buffalo's skin there. Now, I'm so glad that they've managed to get this buffalo, because as you've seen in our other episodes, the buffalo have been up and down our area here, and so have these lions, and we've been hoping that they'd be able to get a nice, good meal. And finally, it has happened, and I couldn't be prouder and happier for these lions. Now, amongst those buffalo herds that were traipsing around Djuma, there was one that was lagging behind, so I wonder if it's that one that has gone. But we're going to send you over to James in the Mara in the meantime, and I'm going to try and look for those cubs.
The little ones are now playing with their mother. Their mother has condescended to wake up and come and have a little play with them. Now you can see she's breathing very heavily. That is on account of the heat and the fullness of her belly, and her cubs are relentlessly hungry. Now what will be interesting here, you see the bigger one is in front of this female, who is not the little bigger one's mother, but she will be allowed to suckle if there's space. Perhaps Mum's a little bit hungry now. See if she moves to the carcass. Ah, here we go. This is interesting. You'll notice there is no urgency like the urgency you were watching at the buffalo kill there with Trishala. That little beast has been dead for some hours. You can see rigor mortis has set in. And there's no urgency because they eat much more frequently at this time of the year. They will absolutely fight, just like the lions at Djuma were doing, if there are enough of them, and outside of migration season. And it'll be interesting to see also if the other adults now come in. Now what she's trying to do is open the carcass up. So she's using the carnassial teeth, which are her molars, like scissors basically. She's opening the skin. It looks like off the sternum, which seems like a strange place to start. Normally they'd go in through the belly, or the anus, or the neck. So she just listen to that. Carol, it depends on the disease. I'm not sure that they can tell if it's diseased or not, but there are certainly some carcasses that lions won't eat. But it's not rotting carcasses or anything like that. You know, the most rancid meat they've got absolutely no problem eating. And that buffalo, for example, that you've been watching, will probably be enough. Well, with the 3 males there, maybe not, but often they'll feed on a buffalo for 5 days in the hot sun. And by the time they finish, The smell is so utterly appalling that you can't believe they could want to be there. Another lion is behind us now calling. I wonder if that's not the mother looking for the other two cubs. There she is. This was the original one that we followed earlier today. She then found the mother, and the mother then found her little cubs. But they're missing one lioness and two cubs, and that's why they're looking now. She's going to probably have a bit of a drink. She's got a little nick, a little wound on her back leg. Slight nick there. I don't think it's anything serious. And there's a nice clean spring of water there that she can drink from. I'd quite like to join her, except I don't think she'd appreciate that at all. So we'll go back over here to these magnificent lions. Remember, you are watching CGTN's Wild Wonderland live show. It's a huge privilege to be bringing you Africa live from 3 magnificent locations. Now we're getting into the business side of the feeding. Is there a little one there trying as we are? A little one trying to help there? Alrighty, we're going to wait and see if they manage to open this carcass up. I'm sure that is going to happen fairly soon. So let's go back to where the buffalo is being devoured in South Africa.
Yes, well, I'm going to try and give you a really nice view of them. They're on my right there. So hopefully this will do. Hello, you little ones. Oh, it's such a wonderful view of them. Oh, yes, and this morning, actually. These days seem so long in the bush. But this morning, we only saw them bounding about in tall grass. But here they are. Camera ready for you. Hello, you cuties. Now they would have also got themselves, oh, so curious. They would have also got themselves something to eat there at the carcass because they're about 2.5 months old, possibly going on 3 months old, and sometimes hard to pinpoint because they'll stay stashed away from the rest of the pride just to be safe for quite some time. And around this age, they should be eating meat, even though Mum will still be giving them some milk. But they'll be weaned soon, and then they will be eating meat full time, won't you? It is absolutely adorable. Hello! You are just too cute. Now, I love the fact that they have these quite fat bodies with these short little legs, and they just seem to bounce around everywhere. And you can see that Mum has kept them away from the males at the carcass there and the other females because feeding at the carcass can become intense. And the last thing you want is for them to get caught in the middle. Now there's another vehicle moving off, which is why they look so curious. Oh, you curious cats. I'm sure everyone is loving seeing you. Welcome. Now, this is not their on-screen debut. We have seen them before, and it was an absolute delight.
The Nkuhuma Pride has not raised cubs since 2016. The Avoca males claimed this part of the Western Kruger in late 2018, and soon they began the process of leaving a legacy. Eventually, the lionesses began to show signs that a new generation was on its way. Ridgenose looked like she might pop. In midwinter, after searching the secluded thickets for days, we found it. A den with 2 mewling, adorable fluff balls. The little boys have boundless energy, often to their mother's bemusement. Although scrappy with each other, cubs need a lot of sustenance and security at this vulnerable stage. The other Nkuhuma lionesses will hopefully soon follow suit, and the pride will be flush with a new generation of Kruger lions.
Oh, look. Now they've grown just a little bit since the last time we saw them, and these little cubs will grow quite quickly. And of course they need to play a bit, and I think that's what's happening right now. Now these are two little boys that our Ridge-nose has here. Oh. Oh, just too cute. Play is so important for these little ones, in fact for all mammal little ones, because that's how they learn to adapt and how to handle each other, how to handle their prey, how to take down things. Look at that, the biting, the scratching, even smacking with their little paws, all helps them. Come on, Mum. Oh, we've got Mum's tail now. Oh, don't. Mum is not even getting irritated. James, you'd like to know if any of the other Pride members have had cubs as well? Well, so far, it's just this lioness, but there is a possibility of another lioness in the Pride. I'm not sure if I saw her there earlier. But there could be more cubs out there. We're just not sure yet, and we haven't seen them. Absolutely stunning. Look at this now. Mum's tail presents, of course, the ultimate toy. It means that Mum can have a rest from the cubs on top of her head, like she usually gets. And the cubs get a toy. Oh, one's got Mum's tail, and the other's got the baby's tail. Oh, no. Oh, no. You two are just so full of nonsense. Oh, Mum is huffing a little bit. I think she's a little bit irritated now. But she's been a very good mum. Kept her cubs safe so far. That was a very irritated pull away from Mum. So like I said, these are two little boys. And of course, boys are rough, and in the mammal world, it is no different whatsoever. Absolutely stunning. Anyway, I'm not the only one with these lion cubs, or not with lion cubs. James has them as well up in the Mara, so let's see what those guys are getting up to.
Now you can see these scrappy little things are slightly older than those Nkuhuma cubs. They're just a bit bigger, but otherwise their behavior is almost identical. The difference being, of course, that they are at the kill because there are no males here. There is no threat to these little ones being here with their mother. And they're calling and calling. The other two are calling and calling. I'm pretty sure they're calling the youngsters because the other adult was up near the waterhole today. But at the moment, the cubs don't care who's not here. They're just having a great game. The smell of blood is in their nostrils. One of them was trying to feed the kill. Let's see if she does again. They will start feeding on meat almost from immediately being introduced to the pride. So as soon as they can eat meat, they will eat meat. And they'll only wean completely, well, between 4 and 6 months. I think that the others have weaned because none of the other lionesses is lactating like this one is. And they're about 5 months old. There's the other lioness sitting, staring into the middle distance, hoping to find a companion. Both other lionesses have now moved off to go looking. It's been fascinating this afternoon, it really has, because it started off with the same lioness, that one you've just watched, going off looking for this one that we're looking at here. And it's almost as if she's trying to coordinate the pride. She isn't one of the mothers, and she's almost playing a mother goose role with the pride, trying to bring them all together after a long day apart in the heat. While Mum is gaining some well-needed nutrition, of course. Now, this does get a little bit gory. I'm sorry about that, but understand that the wildebeest is long dead and obviously feels nothing. You have been watching the Nkuhuma pride in the middle of a buffalo, so I don't think that there's any goriness you haven't seen before. We're going to wait and see if these cubs come up to the wildebeest. You're going to go and see some of its much more extant cousins.
Well, from cub cuteness to wildebeest madness, if you're just joining us, you're watching the CGTN Wild Wonderland live show. And, well, as you can see, there are many, many more wildebeest up for grabs for the predators. Just a drop in the ocean, that one wildebeest. There are so many around. It's unbelievable to try and even comprehend the numbers. I'm just going to be quiet for a moment so you can hear the noises we are sitting with. The male wildebeest are the ones making the majority of the sound. And they're running around chasing rivals, trying to hoard the ladies into their little sort of areas that they've demarcated. Wildebeest are very territorial. Minamu, you want to know how far they walk? It's very hard for me to say right now, but it's a few thousand miles that they would walk in a big circle. But obviously, it's only a few kilometers or so each day. They can cover quite some distance if they need to. They are built for walking quite far. That arched back, the way that you see the position of the body, enables them to actually walk very far quite easily. Different from other animals that have got more of a square body. They're not designed for long distance. Like hyena have got a very similar makeup to their sort of body design. It enables them to walk and run very long distances over a short period of time. So it's all about stamina. And the youngsters, when they're born, need to be able to stand up within moments of birth to be able to keep up with the herds which do not stick around. They're constantly in search of greener pastures. And even this herd has moved quite substantially. They were all in the far distance there this morning, none on this side where we are now, and they've all moved across. So they're constantly moving, and the males demarcating small territories within the moving herds, only to find tomorrow the herd has moved off. And then they realize they must follow, and then on they go again. But look at all of that biomass. Okay, very good. Well, talking about biomass, it's not only the wildebeest and zebra that are thoroughly enjoying the green grass. David is still with his herd of elephants who are enjoying a bit of a graze themselves.
Well, looking at the wildebeest covering so many kilometers and animals that will do almost 2,000 miles in one round, it's something very amazing. Elephants don't walk as much, and I agree with you, Steve, that the wildebeest were designed to stay on the move because moving is what keeps them going. Otherwise, they will not survive like the other species. I left my buffaloes and I thought I'll come and watch these elephants here. And there's a huge herd of elephants where we are. This is the African elephant. And again, just notice they're all feeding, on that short green grass. And for those of you who could be joining us now, my name is David, and on camera is Bungay. Lovely to see such beautiful animals in this kind of great light. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, should you have any questions, you may send them through. Let us share your comments on Twitter, #CGTNWild or #WildWonderland. Now, we just came to the end of the long rains in Kenya, but the area we are in, with or without rain, it remains green. And this is one area that we call the marsh area, and we believe there's a lot of water underground and keeps this elephant going. Even when it's very dry in the country or in the Maasai Mara, this area tends in general to remain green. And you can see that these elephants are enjoying every bit of grass. And talking of elephants eating, I think James's lions are feeding on the wildebeest.
I get the impression those elephants are eating as much as they can before this fellow's conspecifics arrive up in the north, where they haven't just yet. My name is James Hendry. My eyes are burning in the African sun, and Big James is on camera. It's wonderful to have you here with us for CGTN's Wild Wonderland live show. Let's go back to the action here with the lions, where a little cub has been feeding and is now given up and is going to play. You can actually see it's the furthest one away. She's just got a bit of blood on her mouth. And there was one of the little females. We know that there's at least one female and at least one male, and I'm not sure yet if we've got two females or two males of the little ones. Let's listen to that. Hello, Teresa. Yes, not even only in the same coalition. Male lions born in the same pride, even if they're a year or two apart, will often form a coalition. So absolutely they will. And for those of you who are wondering what a coalition is, it is, of course, what male lions end up in. They leave the pride. They're never part of the pride after they leave it as mature males. They form a coalition, which will then preside over 2 or 3 pride female territories. So we've got 2 females. We've got 1 little male and 2 females. We now know that. Okay, good. That's in the youngest ones. Oh, and they're just having the best time. And that's one of the other lionesses who's been out looking for her friends. Oh, here come the other cubs. Wait, we'll just give you a second. There is a vehicle also in the sighting with us. There's another cub coming. So this little, what should we call it, gathering mission has been a success. You won't get it. No, we won't get it. There's another one just behind us. There are 2 behind us that are coming in to the kill. So all the cubs are fine. That's why she was looking. Now we're only missing 1 lioness, but we won't worry about her at all. She'll be absolutely fine. She can look after herself. So I think that what happened here last night is that this pride killed 2 wildebeest. They left this one, they ate another one, and then left the cubs there when the mum, the females, went off to have a drink at the waterhole this morning. And then they rested there at the waterhole while the cubs rested in the long grass. And if that wasn't enough, we've got the call of the rufous-naped lark again, piping a little soundtrack to the end of the afternoon's drama. I'm just trying to wait for the other ones to come in here. I don't want to move, because if I start the engine, it's probably going to disturb what's going on here. So now we've got one of the bigger cubs feeding and one of the little ones. And there's the adults. There are the adults that went looking for the other cubs. So the other 2 cubs are just having a little drink next to us, and then I'm pretty sure they're going to come to the kill. Just a stunning, stunning sequence today, and wonderful to see the pride reunited. Let's go back up north to where the elephants are stuffing as much grass into their mouths as possible before the huge herds arrive there.
Well done, James. Stick with those lions, because I have stuck with my elephants and I don't seem to be going anywhere, because I changed the angle and I came much lower from where they are, and they're much higher than me, and it has changed the whole ball game. I might have said this before, that elephants are my favorite animals for so very many reasons. Let's go very quickly to Talamba with Jamie.
Little Tlalamba is up and she spotted something and she just got up and dashed off, but she's changed her mind and whatever it was appears to have evaded her. And this is just very typical behavior of young leopards. They haven't learned yet what is worth chasing after and what isn't. And I think in that case she probably heard a rustling in the grass. Earlier on I was with her. I spent a bit of time with her during the day to make sure that we could show her to you this afternoon. And I actually watched her go and sniff a piece of grass, and while she was sniffing it, she stuck it up her nose and got a horrible fright and jumped up and ran about 50 meters away. Just young leopards. They're strange creatures. She's up again. Sorry. There's that body language changed completely. Ears up. Staring out. There you go. See? She's looking out across. And she might actually have seen something more worthwhile. So we're on the banks of a dried river, and it is an area where you find lots of different antelope species because the food here, as in the vegetation for them, just tends to be a little bit better in quality. So you'll find more of the secretive antelope, things like nyala or even impala actually, around here. And that's why it is such a preferred habitat for leopards. They've also got plenty of cover, plenty of places to hide. Remember how I said at the start that there's a good chance Tlalamba could get up and start hunting once again? Well, that is exactly what she's done. And of course, keeping up with a little leopard as she goes off on her hunting missions can be tricky, but we're going to give it our best shot. I'm not going to move right now. You can see by the twitch of the end of her tail something's interesting her. See that? There's absolutely no way that a leopard can control that. Their little tails are instinct driven, and while they're very important to the build of a leopard and helping to balance them, especially when they're chasing their prey, they also are a little bit of a giveaway as to the leopard's intentions. All right, everything's all about body language out here, and sometimes the direct approach is the more appropriate.
Indeed, everything is about body language, and body language with these lions at the moment is very aggressive.